Hi, and welcome to Radio FM 88 Australia. And if you're watching on whatever Facebook stream, you're more than welcome to come and join us for this time with my co-host, who's just sitting above me, where she always wants to be. It's Julia. And above her is our guest for tonight, Damion Douglass. Hey. And Julia's cracked the whip, and she's got Damion on side here. And we've all seen Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind with Mr. Steven Spielberg, and this is the Australian version of the hard-working Damion and his volunteers who have put together a network, not only here in Australia, but they've networked with other organisations. So stay tuned, listen to the show, and if you're watching on these Facebook sites, you can actually ask questions that can be responded to by Damion. And I'll hand it over to my mate, Julia.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show, Damion, and everyone who's watching it. You're on Radio FM 88, and we're excited to have Damion Douglass on, who I believe during the lockdown earlier this year formed the organisation Australian Community. And
that's the one.
That's it. That's amazing. What led you to form that? What was the reason behind that?
Well, basically, I was trying to piece together everything. Up until that point, and it wasn't until I guess COVID that I was able to actually stop doing what I was doing and reflect a little bit and go, okay, well, now's a good time to do something with the energy that I have for this field. And I started seeing a lot of people reaching out, wanting to tell their stories, and I couldn't ignore it. I'm like, I've got to give these guys a platform, but a safe platform. And I'm like, well, maybe it's time to start a community where people can do that and just open up and tell us their experiences and actually get help with them, actually get some feedback. And obviously during this moment where I'm starting to get everything sorted and speak to these people, Close Encounters had just come out, and there was traction. There was a lot of interest. There was a lot of traction. People were asking, questions about, okay, well, how do we go one step further? We know what we know, and what's next for us, and there it was born. It was like, okay, and it grew feet. It just ran, and it's a community run. Obviously I have a great team behind me. And they're amazing, but it's community run. It goes as hard as they push it. So yeah, it's almost it's a full-time gig. We've got quite a admin team, and we've had to get that up and running just so that we're giving the community what they're asking. So yeah.
So let's just quickly step back and Jeff mentioned the movie Close Encounters, and I think you were talking about CE5. Can you define what CE5 is and how that differs from CE4 and 3, 2, 1?
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, it's CE5. I guess it brings through a human element. Encounters of the first, second, third, fourth, which I can go into. They're very complicated, and there's a lot of grey areas, and it's entangled in a web of, let's look at the last 3 to 4 decades of misinformation about what we know about extraterrestrial life. Close Encounters of the Fifth really asks humans to look within and really give us it allows us to focus on what we do here and how we present, rather than things constantly happening to us. So that's a really big deal for this movement, and that's why it's got so much traction. It's so real to a lot of people, and they're able to do so, without having the stories about abductions, without having stories about close encounters, hearing noises, seeing images, any paranormal experiences. They literally know that there's more out there, and I guess a lot of people felt like they needed to experience the first encounter and the second and the third and the fourth to get to the fifth, and it's not the case. So it's a discussion, it's a narrative between aliens and humans. That's the most authentic way of putting it. It's a communication, it's like a direct line, and some people can do it, some people try for many years. It all comes down to intentions, and if they're good, you'll succeed. So
that sounds really interesting. So have you had any contacts yourself? I mean, you're in this field and you've set up a community. You must be strongly incentivized in some way. What happened? Tell us about it.
Yeah. What happened? No, look. In informal terms, let's be informal. I've always been. I felt like I've known something that no one else knew, and I've spent my whole life just, thinking I knew more. And whether that was ego driven, it was always, oh, that makes sense, and this makes sense, and I could be the devil's advocate. I could do this, and I could see the reasoning with all these things that were happening. But whenever something, whether it be paranormal or anything, a little bit left field happened, I felt like I understood it. And it's not that something happened, it's just the things I saw were okay. And that no, it didn't trouble me, but I thought, okay, well, is this normal? So I've spent the last, I'm 41 now, and I've spent from as early as I can remember just kind of keeping that to myself. My most earliest memory of an experience of any kind was visually seeing whilst fully awake, seeing a blue baby, which sounds insane, but it was a blue baby the size of probably triple my head, and it was floating above me, and I felt peaceful in it. I wasn't scared, and I knew what fear was, and I knew how that felt. But no matter what I did to try and work out what was happening, I had this, this natural sense of it's okay. And, like we're talking back in the 80s when horror was, a big thing. And, the mere thought of whether it be paranormal or extraterrestrial or alien based conversation was spun on fear. So I should have feared that if we're being honest, and I didn't. And that's when I knew, no, there's more to this, and I know something that not many others know, and I've just been linking to this very point. So it wasn't, I wasn't abducted, I didn't have all these crazy experiences. It was very, very simple. And then throughout my life, I was drawn to specific things, and it wasn't till I developed this community with this amazing group of people, and they put pieces together for me. They were telling me things that I wasn't asking. They were like, hey, by the way, this means this. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been trying to put these pieces together for a long time. Obviously this is the right path. And so after I saw the blue image, and I always say blue baby, it's very, symbolic, and I don't know why it was a blue baby. I still don't. I'm still asking questions. I still don't understand the significance yet. But, as skip forward, 40 years, and, I'm here. Yeah, I have seen craft. It's been, whether it be lucid dreaming, astral travel, whether it be outside my backyard. The protocols are so easy to do for the humble man that it's just, I'm actually shocked. This time 9 months ago, 10 months ago, I didn't think I'd be even having this discussion on a public platform. So yeah, this is amazing to be linking all those experiences, and I can't believe how many people have had them either. So I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I hopped onto your group and I was really quite amazed that there were a lot of reports that you've clearly vetted where, the date is March 2020, May 2020, and, there's
Yep.
footage and very detailed accounts. So there seem to be a lot of people who are contributing to your group, and it's pretty amazing that we can have this kind of disclosure from the public.
Absolutely. Look, we're coming from a place that is obviously very authentic, very pure, but we're realists as well. We made the group a private place, the Australian community, little plug there, a private place. It was a public platform, but we closed those doors based on what we were getting through the door. And, I think we've said no to more people than what we have said yes. And that is because of, the climate of this field. It's very difficult to explain to people what we know and what we understand without going from, I say this a lot, from 0 to 100. And, people don't want to listen to a gradual, incremental stages of learning. They want to know the truth straight away. And they want to know how, and they want a justification straight away and validation. And, this movement is not about that. It's about the data. It's about what's known. It's about what's happened throughout history, what we've been told, what we've seen with our own eyes, and not holding each other, I guess, accountable, but trusting one another with that information. And look, so far, I can't floor it. It's it's been really good. I trust the people within the group, so yeah.
So before we talk about the other people in the group and what the group gets up to, I'd just like to backtrack to what you said about CE5, the protocol being really simple. For those of our listeners who don't know what the CE5 protocol is, oh, there you go, Jeff. You're anticipating my every thought and question. What is the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind protocol?
No, look, I basically look, the protocols, they're hugely individualized. It's amazing. I've actually got on my right hand side here, I've got some information, and when I was reading it back tonight, I realized that the protocol itself, what people have to understand is that from the moment of its inception, from the moment it was developed, well, it was developed thousands of years ago, but when we started talking about it, and I'm going to say March 2020. Now, it's so far disjointed from the truth, because we're talking about a community that's been thriving since the early 2000s. There's another community that's run by Kay McCulloch, who is a huge name in this field, who runs another group based in Australia, and she worked with Stephen Greer for many years. And this is not a new thing, but the protocols itself, they've been evolved many times. We try to keep it authentic, but they have been evolved. And when I look back at my notes and everything, I do see some massive changes. There is a systematic approach. And there's a systematic approach so that the person that is, just coming into this field, that knows there's something, or that feels there's something, that wants to go here, can do so in a way that they can develop emotionally, and develop in a way that can actually handle such information. It's amazing reading these notes today, and you can't see these notes. It's just paperwork. But looking back, going, wow, these steps are all different now to me, because it's just evolved, and it's going to be different for everyone. And that's why these little groups that follow the protocols, they branch out into other areas. They start doing things differently. They use different equipment. They start using different telescopes. They start entwining their walking life and the jobs that they have into these experiences. I think I do CE5 probably 3 or 4 times a day, and that's just in my own self, setting my intentions. So protocol wise, it's a very visual thing. So when you think protocols, you think aesthetics. Okay, what's aesthetically pleasing for you to imagine? What can you imagine inside your mind? What is an appropriate space? When you close your eyes or when you're still, what do you think of? Now, that's very reliant on the environment and where you're doing these things. If your intentions are wonderful, that's fantastic. But if your environment is somewhat tainted and you don't have the emotional capacity to project what you're feeling, it can be quite a messy experience. When we have thoughts, I always look at CE5, and before I explain the protocols, I always say you've got to look at CE5 as a mental health aspect of yourself. When you're talking to yourself, what are you doing? Are you stressing? Are you actually calming yourself? Are you sitting still? Are you thinking about what you're saying? 9 times out of 10, come on, look at the world we live in at the moment. This year's been massive. I don't think that there's anyone that wakes up and naturally goes, I have no thoughts. I have no preconceptions of how the day is going to go. We've got a pretty good idea of how things are. And it's a bit of a panic. So when I say getting yourself into a mindset that's pure, think of it this way. If we were talking like we're talking now, but if I was talking to you and actually vocalizing it, everything that was in my head, I would probably be screaming, because there's so many thoughts and ideas. And the first thing we've got to do is really calm that down. I can't even do it, effectively on point the way I'd like to. It takes a lot for me to do it. But we've got to calm that down, because if we're talking about communication without talking, we're talking about calming that voice down. So before you go anywhere and choose your location, step one, think about those aspects. Think about calming everything down. Okay, manipulate your environment. Actually set it up as a safe haven. Okay, so location, big thing. That links with number 2, preparing yourself for meditation. It could be anywhere. It could be in the car. It could be sitting upright. It could be laying down. I don't suggest laying down because you can fall asleep during, depending on how long it takes you to, calm everything down. And meditation is a personal thing. We don't have this is how you do it and this is what you listen to. It's an individual thing. Whatever calms you down is the way forward. We do encourage people to obviously, please, don't drink and don't try to calm down in those ways. Try and do it naturally. And Google, it's a beautiful place sometimes. There's some great opportunities to grow in your meditation state. Okay, so when you've got those 2 aspects of the protocols, figured out, you've got a place that you like to go to, a special place, you set your intentions. Now, intentions are really, again, individualized, and this is where it becomes really complex, because you've got CE5 groups. The group dynamic is massive, and it's a fine line between good intentions and wrong intentions, and this is where we're seeing a lot of people hitting a wall in their contact work because of the intentions of the group. And this is why people are going out and doing it by themselves, so that they can have this experience. I
can imagine that there'd be some people who say they want to and they're excited, but another part of them might actually be scared subconsciously, and that would be sabotaging the whole thing.
Yeah, and they don't come clean straight away and say, "Hey, I'm scared." And it's a shame because they should. Because the first thing you need to do is voice that, and you've literally got to say it. Hey, I am crapping myself right now. I am not okay. I watch all these movies. I know all these things. Why am I doing this? But we're humans. We're curious. We want to know things. We're not happy with just existing. We want to know what's going on, and it's part of what we do. So, yeah, it's a controlled environment. It's very, very micromanaged.
Yeah, we do want to find out for ourselves, but as you say, it is a controlled environment, and you know, I mean, certainly Jeff is a great fan of Star Trek. For me, the world changed when I saw Star Wars, and it was just, yeah, of course, you know, there is the Galactic Federation. It's just like, yeah, finally,
yeah, that's it.
And then,
that's it. What did I do? I said.
And then, you know, E.T. Go Home. It was just like, wow. But then, you know, all the other movies are all about aliens, and you know, the one where that stuff comes out of your belly, and you're just like terrified when you're 8.
This is look. You know what though? I love it because like I love those movies because they kind of do us a favor. You know, like it's not realistic. They push the outer limits when it comes to special effects and the fear mongering and everything. They've pushed it. There is nothing they can do anymore. Hollywood, that is. There's nothing. We've seen all that they want us to see. All that's left is what is now happening. You know, those flag moments in life. You know, no longer is. This is very doomsday sounding, but it's actually quite a positive that we know now. You know, we used to look forward, go back a decade, 2 decades, you know, 80s are a big thing. For me, you know, I was looking forward to events like going to the movies and watching Back to the Future and Explorers and Labyrinth and all these amazing masterpieces where, you know, kids aren't looking forward to that anymore. They're looking forward to, you know, learning about this, for example. You know, I'm a teacher myself, and the amount of kids that actually ask, like, what is this? What are the protocols? What are UFOs? Oh my God, have you seen one? And they're excited about that. The movie isn't good enough anymore. They don't want to go to the movies. It's not a thing anymore. And you know, so that's a blessing in itself, where I think people that are moving up, becoming young adults, are now more aware. And the majority of videos that we're getting through, and they're intense. Some of these videos are intense. I've got a Dropbox full of videos that I haven't even looked at yet, but when I go through them, I don't even know what to do with them. You know, it's going to take a long time to get them documented and back them up and make sure that, you know, these people are legit. It's a tough.
So let's talk about that. You know, sort of how do you, because you investigate, you get people send you their UFO sighting videos, and how do you know that they're photoshopped or not?
I have some good friends.
Investigate them? You have some good friends.
I have some good friends, and look, I couldn't do this work without the friends that I've made. There are people that I go to that have been absolutely amazing. One of those people, other than my close admin team, who are authentic people, and look, you know, I advocate for them. But there are some people, like within the UFO community, if I can call it that, Damion John Knott, when I have a query, or if I am pushing the limits of something, and I feel that something's not right here, after we get the footage, they can't give me a location, or their time's wrong. They didn't, you know, download a tracker, or they couldn't tell me if they had any applications that would process of elimination. You know, have they done a bit of process themselves in eliminating what it could be, and then, you know, sending it to these people like Damion as well, who can simply, they have the equipment, they know what they're doing, and if it all doesn't add up, we don't even touch it. We leave it in the bank. You know, that's not for us to put out there. We give it back to the person that's sent it, and yeah, we don't want any part of putting false information out there. There's a saturation of, if I may say, bullshit that we can't do that anymore. This is a community that thrives based on authenticity. And if we start doing that, and if we start letting a little bit in, like, oh, that could be something, we've just got to say no. So yeah, there's lots of no's. There's more no's than yeses.
So yeah, what is it that drives you and the community? Because you're very passionate about this, and as you say, you referred to many untruths around there. Sort of. Oh yeah, you've got, what kind of members do you have here?
What kind of members? We've got people from, you know, very ridiculous walks of life. We've got, you know, majors, like math majors. We've got scientists. We've got everyone that is in that group serves a purpose. Like, even if they're quiet, every now and then they'll pop up. The people that are in our group so far have been highly intelligent in relation to what they understand and what they know. And it's not the intelligence that we know. Like, we're not talking about the intelligence of an agency. We're not talking about agency power. We're not talking about, and then we're talking about, you know, self-power. We're talking about these people have gone out and they've actually researched. They don't have a name behind them. They put in hours upon hours, years and years into a field that doesn't give back. You know, this field doesn't give back. And it's a personal thing. So the people that are in our community are full of people like that. We don't have anyone that, I don't feel, I could be proven wrong. Something might come up tonight, but we get a few odd posts that we don't let through. But I don't think, even if you put up, hey, I think this is UFO, and it was a picture of a sun, I don't think you get a negative comment back. You get, hey, yeah, keep your eyes focused on the skies, you know, keep following what you do. We wouldn't put them down. We'd be honest with them and say, hey, by the way, that's the sun. But yeah, there you go. And this is perfect, a perfect image to have brought up, Jeff. Like, it's knowing, actually holding people accountable to know what it is that they're looking at. Like, have you researched what stars look like? Have you researched the constellations? Have you researched different planes, different colors, different textures, the different lights that you're seeing? Do you know what happens when you zoom in, you know, from your iPhone? You know, and once we eliminate all of that, it obviously makes our job a lot easier. But these are the kind of members. These members are already doing this. They're going out. They're spending thousands of dollars on equipment. They're setting up, you know, their own conservatoriums. They've got all these amazing things. That's the community that we've got. And yeah, it's looking really good. I'm really excited for what's to come next.
Jeff? How do you know whether, okay, why are they making contact?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not, is there questions here? Okay, I can see them now. Wow. Okay. Now, why is who making contact?
Aliens.
Aliens.
World.
Extra. Yeah, man. Things of this, we can name them all. Why are they making contact? Well, you've got to understand, like, since we know of contact, you know, we're talking about like the 30s now, you know, we're going back pretty far. It's a very individualized thing. Everything that has come from a notable or a credible person, whether it be Dr. Stephen Greer or Carter, the United States, the presidency that, you know, is it Reagan and Carter, you know, their conversations around the contact that we've had, what we know from Project Blue Book, and it's nothing that we have as a human society has told us that these extraterrestrials mean us harm. Nothing that we've ever seen or documented has caused any harm to humanity. And there'll be a few people that are watching probably right now, and they're probably like, oh, bullshit. But you know, if you look at the data, if you look at everything we know and everything we've been told, the only people or the only things that we know of in this world or unworldly or anything are humans that have inflicted the fear and the so when you ask what do they want, why are they making contact, it's very evident. Like, we've had so many chances on this earth. This is my opinion. I don't speak for an entire community of people who believe the same values as me, but we've been given ample opportunity to change our world. We've been given ample opportunity to communicate on a level. We've been given an opportunity where, just say 1940, you were to time travel to 2020, and we were to show you an iPhone, or we were to show you a smart tablet or anything like that. That's pretty much what's happened here. And we've been shown, okay, this is what we've got. This is what you could be doing for humanity. You want, here it is. We can work together. It's not happening. And that sums up what they want. They want us to just excel. We've got a lot of catching up to do. We're behind. Our technology, it's as good as what we have. And the beautiful thing about understanding what extraterrestrial life want is exactly what we want. It's an open communication line. It's a emergence. It's about literally having starting a narrative in, hey, this is real. This is what's happening. Let's talk about this. But unfortunately, when people bring new toys into the field, it doesn't matter what it is. You could be in the school grounds. It doesn't matter what age you are. Unless, you grow, as you grow older, you become humble. Some people become humble. And, despite if you have an old iPhone and someone else has a new iPhone, or it could be a computer or anything, that person who doesn't have it, they want it. They may not say it, and they may, be humbly defeated, but they want it. Now, unfortunately, it's the same context. It's the same narrative. When we've been approached in a very, very beautiful, even in the most beautiful ways, the first thing that we have done as humanity is asked, okay, well, we want that. We want to be able to use zero gravity. We want to be able to use this level of intelligence. We want this, but we don't have the ability to actually use it. We don't have the ability to actually create it. We want to talk symbolic, but we don't want to use the materials that we're given to develop our consciousness and to develop and grow this conversation. We simply want to skip, and we're stuck in between that thing. We don't want to learn. We don't want to take our time. We don't want to take thousands of years to do so. We literally want to jump ahead, get the technology, and have those conversations. We want them to go away, and then we continue on with our planet. It's not going to work like that. Nothing's going to work like that. And that's why we're back and forth. And for the last 5-6 decades, we're at a standstill. We're no closer. We're no closer to obtaining our goal, to have to develop our consciousness or our subconscious. We're no further. It might change in the next 10 years, but yeah, that's all that's happening here is a narrative, a conversation.
That's a really interesting summary, on a societal level of where we have or haven't got to, Damion. While you've been talking, quite a few members of the group have been hopping on and been basically sharing about their contact and how it was for them. It's generally, a very, very beautiful kind, and they've talked about Arcturias and Zeta and star seeds, etc. I guess it's interesting because you have the individual contact, and I guess we are to that extent by talking about it and feeling normal. in terms of even just to be able to engage in this kind of thought experimentation or telepathy, we are in one way, we are trying to develop and acquire those skills to communicate, have faith, and then advance in our own way and in our own field. You mentioned yourself that you do CE5 3 times a day. You know, who are you connecting into, and what kind of how are you being helped?
Look, it was all very sporadic at the start, and this is all a bit of a journey for me included. So when I say I do the protocols, 3 times a day, if not more, it's about setting the intention. I kept myself accountable. I wanted to remain authentic, reliable to whoever was listening. When I put myself out there, I can't control who I get. I can only get back what I put out. So if my intentions are pure, if they come from a really good place, and I always try to, but come on, life doesn't allow you to be amazing every day. It's not possible. So it wasn't until I started talking or speaking out loud about what my intentions are in this community. And it wasn't until I said, I'm a link for you, whoever you may be, to the next person beside me. I'm a link for information. Use me as a link. That is my intention. Okay, it's an individual I don't want to go see other planets. I'd love to. I mean, it's not what I'm here to do. I don't need much. All I needed was validation. Like, okay, you're doing the right thing. So it's not that I ask for a specific community, or it's not that I, derive from a particular constellation or Pleiadian or Arcturian, or it's nothing like that for me personally. I know there's other people that do have different intentions. So it is when I ask at my most pure self, and when I'm calm, when I'm playful, when I'm kind of a little bit mischievous with it and a little bit cocky with it, no ego, just, very calm, and I'm not screaming inside. I ask for very specific things. I don't want a particular race, or I don't want a particular, I don't want much. But when I do it and it works, I know that because I'm very specific in what I asked for. So the last encounter I had was out the back of my house. Actually, I'm based in Brisbane, Manly West in Brisbane, so right near Moreton Bay side, and we have a beautiful ocean to look out at, and not directly from my house, but I'm not that rich yet. No, I simply ask in a very informative way. Here's my intentions. I am a link. Use me. Tell me to send people here. I'm talking to the community. Do what you need to do. I am happy to keep doing this work. I'm happy to keep putting in my own money. I'm happy to do anything, but show me something, because I need to know if I'm on the right track. It's almost like speaking to your spiritual guides or light workers, or anyone that can assist you in life. And with that, I asked very specifically. So my last experience was, I want something to very, very slowly pass by. I don't want a stationary experience. I want you to keep going. I don't want to take up any more of your time than what you could give me. But I want very distinct flashes. I want very distinct colors, and I need this tonight. I need this because I need to make some decisions. And it's not about decisions. Am I going to keep doing this? Of course I am. It's a love. It's about, okay, what am I prioritizing here? Am I doing the right thing by the community? Am I talking to the right people? Am I putting people in touch, whether they're abductees or, am I putting them in touch with the right people? And these are all the questions that I'm asking. And with that experience, I literally spent the whole day saying, I will meet you out there 7 o'clock every night for the next month. And this is what I want. This is what I want. And I got it. It was amazing. It was very slow. It was very bright, and it did the flashing that it gave me. I've actually got up a timeline. It 3 flashes. One was red, one was blue. It went by approximately 7:03, I believe. I went out there at 7 o'clock as promised. I have obviously trackers and everything. I do processes of elimination, but before that even commences, I always, obviously say thank you. It's exactly what I needed. 2 nights after that, every night, I was given little bits here and there. So things flying overhead very quickly, and then just natural phenomena as well. Shooting stars, meteorites, whatever you want to call them, and I believe that there are some things that are placed very obviously in front of us so that we can go, well, that's clearly a meteorite, and that's clearly a plane, and this is clearly not. And that's for me, that's enough. Other things have happened. I'm not saying that other things don't happen to me. When I first, my first lucid dream, it was quite polarizing. I woke up very distressed, and it solidified what I was doing. It scared me a little. It was a lot, and it was at that point that I asked that, hey, please don't come to me in that way. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. This is too quick. And that may seem very confronting for some people to hear, and I don't care. It's the truth. And that was what I put out there. And that experience itself, it was enough for me to say to myself, okay, it's not that I need all this validation and all these experiences. I don't need much at all. I just need that one experience. And every now and then it'd be good if you dropped in. And that's kind of how it is from my end. I don't wish for any other experience that I have experienced. I don't need to see anything else. But if I do, I will embrace, there will be no fear attached. I don't want any more markings on my body, which was very confronting.
What kind of markings did you get?
I've actually got a few photos up. When I first started the community, I wanted to be obviously my most authentic self. And I'm like, you know what? People are going to think this is nuts, but here we go, click. And I sent a few images, and they're very deep embedded in there. You can try and find them, Jeff, good luck. But they're in there, and there are various marks on my hands, and they're in the formation of, I had a question throughout my entire life. I was seeing 3 distinct markings, and they're in a triangle. And when I was young, I used to call them a womble. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the wombles. The wombles of Wimbledon, and they have these long faces. Yeah, you know them. And they have a point, and there's a point at the end of their nose, and then they have their 2 eyes. And in my young self, I was feeling all these things. I knew they were significant, but the only thing that I could, in my childlike mind, without being too scared, is there's something significant about that triangular shape, about those 3 points, and I'm going to look for them in life. I need to keep looking at them and keep asking questions. They popped up. I'm talking whether it be markings on my body, positioning of certain things, and I almost thought to myself for a while, like, am I going nuts? There's just these images everywhere. I would go and inspect a house to rent, and there'd be these images on the walls in perfect formation. It was so annoying. And my partner, I know it's ridiculous.
Could have been your future self coming back. Sort of like, all right, make sure Damion follows these steps and does these things and use the womble.
It's nuts. But I'm glad I did. Because eventually it led to something. And yeah, it was really nice. And now I'm like, oh, now I get it. I get what's going on. You know, it's no longer a question on my mind. And those, the night that I had a very lucid dream, I was warned, and I was told that my house in general was not a safe place in order for visitation to happen. And that was kind of sad. But I knew that I felt it.
Yeah, I'll just butt in quickly because Art asked how old were you when you had the lucid dream?
So I started, obviously, lucid dreaming from probably as early as 22, 23. But my most recent lucid dream, which is something I asked for, was the very beginning of this year. Like I'm talking just after Christmas. And one of Wombles. Yes, I just saw someone's comment, Wombles. So that was this year. It was chaotic. It was everything I asked for. It was too much, actually. And I couldn't process for days. The experiences that have happened afterwards have
and I think that's partially the trouble, because I know a lot of parents who have kids who get scared at night, and they talk about spaceships are being taken, and even if you're as an adult having sort of saying that was too disturbing, just imagine sort of how for kids it would be just to try and like deal with it. I'm going to talk about the greys because I think they're often the ones that are connected with the confusing or disturbing or maybe too abrupt entrances and exits. Whereas with the others, with the other types, they seem to be able to know what to do. I mean, like with my daughter, they would basically come in a figure that she was familiar with and comfortable with, rather than just too strange.
It's so familiar, very humanoid-like.
No, teddy bear-like, but yeah.
Oh wow, I haven't heard that.
They'd customize.
Hey, isn't that what we do?
It's all a projection anyway, right?
It is. It's amazing how it happens. I have a son who experienced, unfortunately, it was actually quite a negative experience, but it was of the paranormal. It really did shake things up in our world in relation to what can come through, and on what plane, and the energy, and it made us very aware of the energy that we're carrying and how things can materialize with that energy. And he was seeing dark figures, big eyes. He referred to them as children, but he was seeing very some very explicit things, including they were biting his necklace, they were shaking his bed, which was extremely scary for us as well.
That's quite common, the shaking the bed, getting too close to the bed. So what did you figure out it was in the end?
Well, we employed 2 mediums to come on over. And in fact, the one medium came over and she needed backup. And that's how serious it was. There were quite a few spirits within the house. And our son happened to be he was like, he had a big red flag saying, hey, here I am. Come and show me everything. Yeah. And so the 2 kids that they were very curious about Jacob. He was very aware that they were there, and that was something we were very confused. We're like, how do we help? It wasn't until we got the 2 mediums in and they came and they were able to tell us, okay, here's what's happening here. Here's who the kids are. Here's who a little girl is, and she was a little Indigenous girl. Her story was quite beautiful. She needed to be moved on, and it was okay. And obviously a very common thing. I didn't know too much about it, and then there was a very, very grumpy old man that was attached to a antique cabinet, and he would not leave, and he actually tricked one of the mediums and came back, and it was really confronting stuff. The most confronting was this. After we had gone through everything we had, and we're talking, we had to move out. We told the real estate, it's too much for us. We even asked them, look, had someone passed away? after we had all the experiences and the mediums moved everyone on, as they were moving the spirits on, our son, who was sleeping on the lounge, woke up and was gripping at the lounge, saying, "I don't want to go," and hold, I don't. He was trying to grip on to keep within where his space there is, and he's never acted like that before. And he was gripping and gripping and gripping, and suddenly it just stopped, and never heard anything since. And that was a real eye opener for us in relation to energy of what we were letting in, and how easily it can attach itself to you. And this is bringing it back to the protocols, if I may. This is where the Australian community, the AAC, are different. It's not really discussed in Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. There are the protection aspects of people and protection for extraterrestrial beings. It's not discussed. And that was, I'm going to say it on the record, it was an oversight. It was an oversight. It could have been intentional, but it's an oversight.
No, I fully agree with you, because this brings us completely into, the energies of people can be manipulated. And I actually worked with Karen Langford, who introduced me to you. And we actually did a quick video on that, because she telepassed into, it was actually more of a remote galactic scientist who connected with her when she was a child. But we were talking about the good ones and the bad ones, and how come the bad ones can influence the human ones. And they basically said, well, it is like one of our listeners, Chris, mentioned earlier, it's the law of attraction. So if you don't pay attention to energies, you can be manipulated, and it's generally the ones who are manipulating others that will be manipulated themselves. Although, of course, you can't say that about your son. But that was a slightly different. That wasn't extraterrestrials. That was local spirits, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And I guess you can feel, obviously you guys may have had experiences too. You do notice the difference. And, but one thing that remained, there, whether it be this work or whether it be paranormal or whether it be with, spiritual, anything spiritual, it's all energy based. So, being aware of that now and making people aware of that is what we do. We've lost maybe hundreds of members because we stand by that. They don't want to hear that they need to protect their energy. They want an experience, and it's very silly. It's a very silly way to go into it. It's quite dangerous, actually. And there's some experiences that I've seen over the last 6 months that scare the crap out of me. And I think to myself, I tell this person, look, here's what I think. I do suggest that you speak to someone that could assist you in protecting yourself, protecting your family. And it could be on a spiritual level, it could be anything, but what they want is greater than what they really want. They simply want validation, but they're getting too much. There's attachment. There's and they also, some people can't tell the difference between the different planes and the different energies that come forward. So it's good to be able to have a place where there's a
lot of investment into extraterrestrials being the rescuers. And I mean, I went 2012, everyone thought disclosure was going to happen, and they were going to come and land and everything was going to be solved. And then it wasn't. So I guess it's more than too much expecting. It's like, no, we have to sort it out. We're the starseeds.
No, people don't understand. They don't get it. And I'm glad you brought that up. It's we are the solution. We are definitely part of the problem. In fact, we are the problem. And we need to acknowledge that. It's sorry, I'm trying to read the chat here as well. I just want to make it clear that never before in my life, for the people that are watching this, never before have I had a negative experience with anything extraterrestrial. Nothing. There's nothing that I've ever encountered that has given me, a sense of fear. And I want to make that clear. That's not what the Australian community do. We don't want to create fear or anything like that. That's humanity's job. that's a very broad statement, I know, but that's not what we're here to do. That's the media's plight. That's not our angle. And
yeah, that's just what the listener Hazel just said. There are often military ops or certain pre-agreed contacts of that kind.
Yeah, if I may, like I was talking to my admin team this morning, and Michelle, if you're watching, and James and Marta, you better be watching.
They are.
It'd be weird if you weren't. Yeah, good. You know, I put it out there this morning, and before I wanted to do this interview, I felt like I was missing something, and I had to talk out. I think I sent 30 minutes of audio going over the word intelligence. And I want to make everyone aware, although the Australian community aren't a group that discusses conspiracies in a sense where we try and debunk this and that, we already know what we know. We know why we're here. We want to make you know, authentic communication. We are doing so. It is happening, whether anyone likes it or not. So what I did want to say is, if those people that are, you know, coming from an outside perspective and venturing into this field, the terminology that you've been exposed to for a few decades, you know, we've even got some 15-year-olds, you know, not even 2 decades of experience, not even one. You know, you're bringing in a vocabulary of, you know, intelligence. You know, it's really important that when you are a part of a CE5 group, intelligence doesn't mean intelligence. When we use those words online, you know, there is an intellect, there's an intellectual person, but the word intelligence, Jeff, you mentioned, I don't think it was the CIA, it was another MIA maybe. You know, we use the word intelligence as being really propped and pin dropped, you know, decades and decades ago of associating intelligence with knowledge. And that's unfortunate, because intelligence is something that we ourselves, you know, we've come to understand is a very personable thing. But we rely on whether it be, you know, these agencies, this agency intelligence, which is it's a movement. It's not it's a thing. It has no governance. It has no legalities. It's virtually a thing that was created, and they've popped in the word intelligent. And I'm bringing that word up a lot because it's not the same. Okay, the intellect of our community and the intellect of people that are doing these protocols it's actual intelligence. It's not part of an intelligence community, like a foundation that's been built to gather intel. That's not what we're doing. And so you've really got to drop those the social norms. We've really got to drop that language or that vocab, you know, what we know, conspiracy and intelligence. We've really got to go, you know what, let's pretend I don't know those words, and now let's talk to them. You know, let's actually replace the words with truth, and start having a conversation to address all these things that have happened.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think because some of the listeners are sharing their truths of their experiences. So we've got Wendy Kirkwood saying, I've only had positive CE5 experiences, but we do also have Wallace Tidwell sharing that he's had some experiences with some really scary energies. I'm sensitive and I can feel the energies. My girlfriend at the time was terrified, and he also had to move away from that place.
So I guess, look, and we do get a bit of that. Hey, Wallace, we get similar stories. Unfortunately, you know, to understand the context, I'd need to know what was happening around. Now, energy can be very scary and can affect people in such a way that it will change their entire being in a matter of seconds. And being aware of your own energy, of where you sit on a virtual plane, where you sit, you got to be very aware of that, because you've almost got to set your next experience up. If your energy is low, then, you know, you're going to want to put yourself in a position that is going to, serve you in a way that, brings you up to a very positive place. The scary energies that we get through from working in within this community, scary it's the word's used, but it's mainly panic. It's mainly, I don't know what to do with this energy. It's mainly noise. It's mainly buzzing energy. A shift in consciousness, a level up, and they don't know what to do with it. They're not ready for it. So when someone uses the word scary and sorry, I just read that, terrified. I put it down in my experience, and I don't mean anything by this, Wallace. What I mean is the more experience you have and the more understanding of what you have and your energy and your partner's energy and the energy that you have together, if that's an almighty high and you guys are already, hitting those peaks, it's probably going to be very polarizing. And the shift in consciousness, I mean, that's intense, and you're going to feel that. If you are feeling like you need to get up and you need to move and move away, I would question the experiences that you're having in a sense where, okay, what are you doing to get these experiences? What are your intentions pure? Can we
Wallace
strip
has
that?
clarified and said that he was remodeling the house, so it sounds like it was a poltergeist or
Yeah, Wallace, send me. Yeah, Julie, I agree. 9 times out of 10 we can get confused. There are a lot of people that are doing CE5 protocols and they're getting smashed by poltergeists, and it's okay because
they're pretty horrible. I agree with you.
I would love to hear your experiences, Julia. I anything paranormal, it's the anomalies, everything is so different, and it can go from beautiful to absolutely terrifying within a second. And I can see the link, and I can see why Wallace is having these experiences. Mate, if you're remodeling your house and you're having those experiences, do what I did. Get some mediums and get them on board. Let them walk through, man. There might be something trying to tell you something. Don't change something, or there may be something within that area. You could be on sacred land, and that's where we were. In Moreton Bay, the Quantamuka people. We were really we didn't realize how rich the land was with all this sacred work that had been done for many years. And we walked into it so blindly. It wasn't until we asked questions, and you get to know the community, and this is what happened before this house was here, or during why this house was here. So in moving forward, Wallace, get into it, mate. Get into the aspects of where your house is, your location. Start with your location, previous owners, any furniture. You'll be all right, mate.
Yeah, and I guess you're right. Also, trusting your energy and the sensations that you're having, not just rather than dismissing. But that's a part of our evolution, isn't it? To start to be able to decipher energy, that vibrations that we're feeling rather than seeing. Because of course, there's such a big spectrum. So, if people want to get in touch with you, Damion, what's the best way?
Just drop into the we're very hard to find, and that's the way we like it. So yeah, the Australian community, AUSTRALIEN community, and we have a sister page called CTEC, which is the study for extraterrestrial encounters, contact and encounters. There are a few different pages that we've got going on, but once you introduce yourself, we'll kind of point you in the right direction of, there are groups. We have, I think at the last count was like 44 countries. And, it's growing quite, we can put you in touch with, what better suits, what you want to do. If it's CE5 related, please jump into the Australian community. And we'll link you with people in your area, and hopefully you guys have some, amazing experiences.
Cool. Jeff, do you have any more questions for Damion?
If you're in Brisbane, there's two people you can talk to. One is Maggie Landman, and
Okay.
yeah, so she goes and checks basically your ley lines and your geopathic stress,
Love it.
which has a major effect on sighting of your properties. There's also a bit of that feng shui goes into her understanding of that.
Excellent.
Maggie Landman, and the other one is we had him on the show. He's from Melbourne. His name's Jared. What does he do, Julie? He does the
Jared Benny. He does he does the geopathic stress and the checks for all types. He's like a dowser, and
Oh, I
he's
love
really
it.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So Jared Baby, he can operate from his own laptop just by on Google Maps, and he can just he's very, very accomplished in he's almost doing remote viewing, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'm surprised we didn't get there tonight, guys. I thought you were going to bring up remote viewing, but it didn't happen. So, but it's
a 1 hour.
Well, you mentioned Project Blue Book.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I did.
Hey, okay, so yeah, those are two strong people who can really help a lot of people.
Awesome.
Okay, first of all, I actually met Al Billick. Do you know Al Billick?
I know the name.
Al Billick was in Project Rainbow. He was involved in the Philadelphia experiment.
Yep.
You mentioned Kay McCulloch. I know Kay McCulloch right from the early days when she was just starting out, so I really know her. Project Rainbow was the Aldrich and the radar invisibility, which actually became time travel.
Yep.
There's a group of us in Brisbane. We actually met Al Billick in 1984 when he came to Brisbane. He gave us a private chat and a talk about America's time travel capabilities. We talked about the starships that the Americans have got. They've been traveling out in space. In 1984, there was 23 species that they had treaties with, and they had catalogued over 60 different species. And this is 1984. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Project Rainbow, Montauk project. You probably come across Montauk up there in upper state New York.
Yep.
The connection with that. His brother Duncan was a very good transmedium, and he was in charge of creating the time portals, and that's where they use kids to send them through.
Yep.
He told us about operations on Mars that they had base set up there. We're talking 1984, yeah. So if we're going to the moon and meeting up with the Germans who are up there since the late 40s, and their little base down there in Antarctica, I mean, there's so much stuff that's just ridiculed and put out there to say, and keep you focused on playing the game of Monopoly, isn't it? So it's all about work to live or live to work. So, I mean, you just got to change that paradigm and get people like yourself and give you the quality airtime that's necessary for people to feel that they're connected and they're not alone. That's the most powerful thing that you and your group can do, is to say, hello, we're here. We're not Alcoholics Anonymous. We're not gambling Anonymous. We are anonymous. And you come with a group. We are anonymous. But you can share your stories. And I think that's really most important. In the old days, you see the Catholics going down to the church on a Sunday and confessing their sins, and then come Monday, they're back to doing what they were doing anyway. So it was just like a mental health check on a Sunday where the priest would give them the Hail Marys. You guys, like anybody who's providing a voluntary organization, the amount of goodwill and good work that you do is phenomenal. And it's most important that the people who come on your group, and it grows and grows, and you've got some good administrators who are following that, you don't need the trolls. You can flick them off, and don't be bespoke about that fact. Just you hold that intent, you bring them through. Mate, I've had them over. I've had craft over the house here. I've had people bloody manifest in front of me. So I mean, you guys are just, you're out there. You're having a go, and I'm just saying I'll support you. We've already been there, done that. So
Thank you.
Yeah, share it, bring it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely, well said. No, that's beautiful to hear. And I hope everyone that's within the community, that's really going to help people tell their story. I'm really glad you said that. Thank you.
Right. Now, my co-host normally takes over here now because she likes to.
Yes, I am just getting primed. No, I won't. I'll let you finish. I'll let you do the duties. I'll let you say the goodbye, Jeff, and thank Damion for coming on the show.
Well, we do the two Ronnies. It's good night from me. It's good night.
Good night from me and good night from Damion. Thank you very much for everyone for listening, and tune in next week for a mystery guest that we ourselves don't yet know who will be joining us. But I hope you do join us next week because we will have a guest.
Get on the phone. We'll talk to God. Eh?
Yeah.
Do it.
God, God. I met God. God stands for General Operating Device. It's a free shareware. All you got to do is ask. Yeah.
I trust it, mate. It doesn't have the word intelligence in it, so I trust it. It's all good.
Yeah. All right. It's been fantastic. 11 minutes past 8 Queensland time. That'd be 11 past 9 in Queensland. Victoria and New South Wales. And of course, New South Wales. It's commiserations. The football that was played last night. But we relish you, and we'd like to see you turn up next year. In reference to the state of origin rugby league for those people around the
world. I'm with you 100%. Queenslander.
All right. But just before we go, we'll just give all the little thank yous that are coming through. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm seeing some lovely names here. If I may, thank you so much. Can I just say a quick thanks to you guys? Thank you, Jeff and Julia. We really appreciate the platform. We can only hope that people are so kind, as in to give us their time and energy. And we really do appreciate it. When I told a few of the guys what I was doing tonight, we're very grateful, and we do thank you for the time. And if there's anything else that we can do, it'd be absolute pleasure to work with you guys. And thank you for your time. Thank you to everyone that tuned in as well. I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of 2020 straight into 21. So thank you, Jeff, Julia. It's really nice to be here. Thank you.
We'll have you back.
Yeah, we'll definitely be back. Thank you, Damion. Thank you, everyone who listened. Good night. We're all believers. Exactly.
See you later.